Welcome everybody to your Beyond the Summit World Tour action for today. First up we have Orange versus World Elite. Orange on the Radiant, World Elite on the Dire. I am LD of dotacommentaries.com, enjoying some coffee on this fine early morning, and it's even earlier on his side of the world. He is Luminous. Luminous, how are you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. Glad to see some Orange versus WE, and right from the gates we have a Templar Assassin being banned. Now, I haven't personally been casting for a long time, and for the viewers that haven't been watching, maybe skipped a week or something, what's going on with Templar Assassin? Is she auto banned? Is she auto picked?
Okay, well let me. She is very much a boomer bust here right now. She's a hero, of course, as you know, very momentum based, and well, some teams seem to have her figured out. Others are struggling a bit. We saw Mouse Sports in one of their, I believe it was the series against DK. Game number 1, they pick up a Templar Assassin. Sexy Bamboo goes like 14-1 and 10. It's a very early GG out of DK. I want to say around the 25-30 minute mark. I might be exaggerating that a little bit, but it was a quick GG. Game number 2, DK sends a Venomancer mid to deal with that TA. TA gets shut down hardcore. Venomancer probably the best 1v1 counter team in the game. And anyway, the game goes the other way very quickly. So, to me, that series sort of captured how Templar Assassin is doing right now. Other players have had a lot of success as well, Korok being one of them. Remaining. And what I will say is, if we're going to see a TA, if we ever see one out of Orange, it will be played by Mushi. He's been the one picking that up. But in fact, it's another new hero that World Elite opt for, the Naga. And Lumi, they give up a lot to pick this up. That being a Darkseer.
Yeah, but they get a Furion in return as well, Nature's Prophet, which, traditionally known as one of the most powerful hero in the game. I've heard all the buzz about Chinese teams in general, favoring Naga and particularly overvaluing it a lot of times. Not overvaluing it, but picking him very, very highly and giving up heroes that is known to be good, like the Darkseer. Let's see if they're going to make it work. Naga Siren has a skill set that not many hero can boast about. Ability to nullify BKB carries. I think that's one of her strong points, but her AoE presence is not too bad, considering that they have reworked her Riptide, and the minus armor capability is not irrelevant if you start picking heroes like Vengeful Spirit and Tidehunter, who has minus armor ability. But now they're up against the Darkseer, and I think we are very familiar with this hero, with what he can do, wombo combo abilities, chasing abilities, escape abilities. He's just an artist in many things that he could do, and do it so well.
Well, as far as this Nature's Prophet goes for World Elite, they are 6-7 with him in their last, well, in all of their games they've played in Dota 2. It's a strong hero, but it can be dealt with. Other heroes that we might like to see out of them, Earthshaker is their favorite support. That's certainly a possibility, and I think something that combos well to Naga Siren. To me, she's a hero. You don't pick her unless you plan on building a team around her. Taking advantage of that minus armor, you mentioned the Riptide. Also taking advantage of her teamfight capability. Sure, you've got that ultimate, but by itself, it doesn't really do any damage. A decent escape mechanism if you need it. But ideally, you want something like a Ravage. Maybe another big AoE ultimate that does a lot of damage to combo up. One of those being banned out already. That's the Queen of Pain. So, what do you expect to see from World Elite the rest of this draft? As they give away, I gotta say, 3 of the strongest early game heroes. Leshrac, Chen, and Darkseer for Orange. This is a scary opening for Orange. I hope World Elite have a plan. They're definitely gonna need it.
It really is, and you gotta consider that Naga Siren, who, in some cases is a stat-based carry, and Darkseer's Wall of Leopardla is really good at that. If it gets to that stage of the game, because, again, you were mentioning about the pushing power, and so far I don't see anything that W could deal with it. Earthshaker you mentioned as being one of the stable support, and can be a decent counter pusher. I stress the word can be, because Fisher by itself, it won't be enough. You gotta pick something else alongside with it. It really comes down to Graphic Nature and how well he times that ultimate and where he teleports to, what build he goes for. But my question is for now is, what has been the Naga Siren item/skill build as of late? What is the popular build? Because I feel like it has a very strong impact in the game.
Yeah.
I've seen when the past he was picked up, or she was picked up, I've seen things like Vanguard into Radiance, which is somewhat odd, but is that the build that's very common nowadays?
I haven't seen that many games with her, Libby, but when I do, it's usually a very well, okay, I've seen 2 main skill builds. One of them is you get the Riptide maxed out first. That's almost always the case. Very strong nuke, gives you the minus armor, good for pushing, good for hero killing. And then sometimes people like to go for the net. I forgot who it was, but yesterday or the day before, we cast a team who ran Naga.
Max Net?
And they actually opted for Illusion Max. Or maybe we didn't cast it. It might have been in another tournament, but they went for Illusions and Riptide. They didn't even get the net early on. They didn't even get a single point. So that to me was very odd. Because I think the net, especially against Darkseer, I think it's mandatory. But what did I also want to point out about this draft, Luby, is, while I'm on the subject of stats, World Elite is 0-6 versus Chen in Dota 2. They're 0-6, and they just gave it away to Orange, a team that definitely knows how to use it.
Well, hopefully they could use the Naga Siren a little bit better. You can see that they are taking precautions about that counter pushing. Lina, not usually a high pick. Sometimes you can see her as a fringe 5th pick, unless the world of Dota 2 has just changed 180 in the last week, and I completely had to relearn this game. Okay, good.
Don't worry. You're good.
Lina's not a common pick in all means, but she is one of the few heroes in the game that boasts a dual AoE nuke, especially on a support hero. That's a very, very valuable thing to have, especially dealing against such strong pushing power. But she is still very squishy, so Leshrac, Darkseer can easily take her off, and depending what Chen creep comes with, she could easily get bad up as well. So I don't think WE is out of the woods just yet, but they're making a very, very strong start. I'm very surprised that they actually went for Lina first instead of something like Earthshaker, because Lina's not a hero that usually will get picked up or banned up. So it makes me think that they are not going ES.
Radiant team pick.
It is definitely an unusual pick. I mean, that being said, I saw a game with it yesterday. At this point, all the games blur together a bit for me, but it's a hero that, you know, it gives you that burst damage, and against Orange's lineup, you talk about the AoE. Sure, it's absolutely fantastic for that, especially versus Chen. That's very important. But against a hero like Leshrac or Chen, if you can burst them down before the Chen uses his heal or the mech, or Leshrac gets off his big nukes and sort of deals that sustained damage, that's going to give you a 1 team fight off the bat. So I like it from that perspective too.
Of course, a lot of the pushing ability comes from Orange's ability to hang next to the creep wave, or creep tower, the enemy tower. So if you blow up the creep wave with all those AoE, well, the ability won't be too effective. And we're going to see a carry Sven, right? This has to be a carry Sven. I mean, there is a support slot available, and God forbids if he plays support Sven, because that's the worst hero in the game. But we are actually going back to some... We're in a time machine right now, because Lina and Sven have not really been seeing a lot of play lately.
Well, regarding that carry Sven, he was seen in eHome versus Complexity. Let me just say it didn't work out. I wouldn't say it was the Sven's fault. I mean, he was played fantastically. I think it was TC on the Sven, in fact. And I mean, he got big, but we saw some of the weaknesses of Sven. Not the most mobile carry. Although he does have the passive that buffs his move speed, he doesn't have a blink. He doesn't have any sort of outrageous mobility like a waveform to work with. And we saw him get kited a lot because he is a melee carry. And as a melee carry, Sven is a hero that usually goes for BKB, right? But against Naga Siren, BKB is not the best pickup. Net goes through BKB. Son of the Siren can be used to sleep the rest of the team and then kill you off solo. So I'm not sure, but they do go for the Earthshaker here. So we're on the lead. A lot of spam to deal with these pushes coming their way.
I'm glad you pointed out the Naga Siren's ability to counter BKB hero. I think that's one of the more underrated ability and one of the more unnoticed ability. If we see the Sven BKB, and we're going to see how Naga just rips through BKB carries. But for now, Sven does have a couple of spells that is good against illusion heroes overall. The Warcry is not irrelevant considering that you're dealing against Riptide minus armor, so giving armor to your team is not bad. And of course, Stormbolt and Cleave, I mean, a couple of ways to deal with that illusion, especially when we're going into a later point in the game where those illusions start to get very, very tanky. And of course, I say that W probably not going to pick up an Earthshaker because they went for Lina first. They're going to pick up an Earthshaker, and suddenly we do have enough AoE to counteract against the push, especially dealing against a couple of melee heroes as well. Leshrac, for the most part, can be considered as a melee, especially in those hectic teamfights. Darkseer is very, very melee, Sven melee as well. So well-placed Fissure plus the LSA follow-up could really turn the tide of the battle. And there's always Riptide to be thrown around, so it's going to hit a lot of melee heroes.
It's dangerous to dive this World Elite team. I mean, Earthshaker, Fissure, great for splitting heroes up, catching them out at the tower, also killing off those Chen creeps, or stopping them from getting rage. I mean, not to mention the net and Prophet ultimate and his TP ability. World Elite can really punish tower dives here if they have the right positioning, if they get to that, the Prophet, ideally that early level 6. But for Orange, it's going to be a Rubik here, and I feel this is going to be a farmy Rubik, probably heading mid, and then I guess we'll see a Sven Leshrac dual lane, Darkseer in the off lane, Chen probably defensive jungle. That would be my best guess for the lanes here. They certainly have their set of options, but Darkseer almost certainly going to be in that off lane, unless they want to run an offensive tri lane. But I'm not sure we'll see that. This is a dangerous team to do that against.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't think they have the hero to do it. Sven, I guess we can see Sven Rubik as a linking combination. It's not bad by any means, but yeah, I think Sven Leshrac is a little bit more standard, a little bit more reliable. One thing I want to point out is that Rubik has a selection of spells to choose from. And I don't think any of them bad. LSA is pretty weak as a spell to steal, but you have enough setups. But for the most part, if you steal Fissure from Shaker,
Oh yeah.
that is insane. Because one of the biggest weakness of one of the most powerful spells in the game is the casting time. And Rubik, he has no casting animation, or practically none. And if you drop off a Fissure, perfect Fissures every single time, that turns the tide of the battle more than anything else.
Yeah, not to mention the AA ultimate, the Prophet TP. There are some sick spells for him, and of course Wrath of Nature quite good as well. Even the Naga spells, the Net, the Riptide is a very powerful nuke. That minus armor will help out a bit, especially for towards
on
the
Rubik, who has no illusions to use it with, he has to walk next to. It's yeah, not the best, but it's not bad. It's not bad. And we're going to see WE finishing the draft with the Ancient Apparition. Ancient Apparition plus Earthshaker, a Grano laning combo that does so well.
Is this going to be an offensive tri-lane?
It can be, yeah, it can be. Lina not generally played as a carrion.
Hey, solo mid.
Look at it. That's not something that we see quite often, but I think this goes back to when AA first was played in Dota 2 back in the International 1 days, where he was only played as a solo mid. And let's actually talk about that for a bit. He's actually very good. Once you hit that quick level 6, around 5 minute-ish, suddenly the Silings become very, very easily gankable. We talk about, you know, how Invoker Sunstrike builds are very good for that. Well, this is more of that. He doesn't have to leave the lane, he can support both side lanes. And suddenly when you have things like a Prophet, you're seeing a +2 in every single gank. And that's very hard to deal against.
Yeah, it's a semi-global option here for them. And, well, Lumi, they're up against a Chen as well, so that early Ancient Apparition Ice Blast can be absolutely huge. Now, we've talked about the upsides to this. Let's talk about the downsides. The big downside is that Ancient Apparition is very squishy. He has no escape mechanism. He's pretty solid 1v1, but if Chen shows up for a smoke gank, if anybody roams in for that, there's nothing he can really do to stop that. At least before he hits level 6, then maybe Ice Blast can turn things around. So it's a bit of a risky solo bid. Well, let's go ahead and introduce our players here as the creeps are about to spawn. We have ourselves a quick pause. Icy, going to be in that off lane handling the Prophet. Towards mid, of course, that Ancient Apparition handled by Chan. Up top, it's going to be GG on the support Earthshaker. Lane Ward already placed. This is a very potent kill lane up top, and Fancy, or FNTY, going to be on that Naga. And finally, Lao going to be playing that Lina. So it is a tri-lane for World Elite.
Yep. Meanwhile, real fast before I introduce the Radiant squad, I want you to actually click on Prophet real fast. He has a Clarity running. He started with 2 Clarities, and seems like we do have a little bit of technical difficulties. Popped both Clarities when he was actually in the fountain. Maybe that's the reason why we see the pause. But down 100 gold at the start of the game, not exactly where you want to be. Orange X is going to be playing the Chen. Yellow is Ice. Looks like we are going to see somewhat of a trial. And Yamateh is playing the Sven, so we are going to play a Sven. Let me tell you, farming Sven is where you want to be. As you predicted, Mushi is going to be playing the solo mid with the Rubik, and on top lane is going to be Winter handling that Darkseer. Now, Darkseer generally very, very good on that top solo against whatever that's thrown against him, but we're seeing a lot of stun times, and yeah, this Winter, if he ever gets netted or fissured, and trust me, you are always within fissure range, you're basically dead.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the fissure, of course, a great way to deal with Surge. The net, probably the best way in the game to deal with it. One of them, anyway. It's up there, along with Frostbite and other similar spells. It's reliable disables they have, too. And then Lina to follow up. I foresee this Darkseer having a very difficult time if Winter doesn't get a great early start. If Darkseer gets those first few early escapes, and I mean, although they have the chain stun, they have to chain it up properly. If you stack those, then he may escape anyway. But if they can chain them up properly, he will be in a lot of trouble. Looks like Prophet wants to go for a pull, but great play here by X. Steals one, Leshrac edicting down another. And it looks like this pull attempt by Prophet will be denied, so he's not going to be able to get any sort of farm going off the bat. But in come the second wave of Trance, spotted by the lane ward. Will they take these over too? Kill them off. Edict cooling down in 5 seconds. As far as Prophet off lanes go, this is not an easy one to deal with.
Yamateh, of course, using his Stormbow, or using at least the animation of it, scaring away the Prophet. And Prophet, yeah, it's not going to get any EXP. At the very least, he's baiting out a couple of spells, I say, which is not too bad. Ice getting a little bit of EXP. It looks like a little bit of harass coming against us as well, down to about half HP. Back in the mid lane here, who do you want to favor this lane? Traditionally, I want to say Rubik, because he's no more as a solo mid here, but look at that. Ancient Apparition just warding people away with that Kofi. It's actually very, very strong. Very, very forgotten as a solo mid spell.
To me, it's the supporting cast. I feel like this is a pretty even 1v1, but Chen as well as Darkseer are in a decent position to actually go help this out. Sven probably needs one support down here at the beginning, but once Yamateh gets maybe an early pair of boots up, yeah, I think Mushi's got the better supporting cast early on, and AA is the one who's gonna have to play very carefully. As I look towards the Chen, there is a smoke up on Extinct, and I mean he's pretty aggressive as a Chen player, so this AA has to be very careful. And notably, there are no wards for him towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, just as you say that, I was looking at the top of the map, and I was gonna say the opposite. There's no map, there's no ward protecting Rubik from the top side. There's an Earthshaker, and I was trying to talk about Earthshaker plus Ancient Aberration ganks earlier on. It is insane. Fissure, of course, comes in from long range, immediately cold feet, and that's gonna take in with the stun. A lot of spell damage on top of that with the right clicks. So the gank could come on top lane with relative ease as well. Winter doing a very good job. Can't get too much EXP in the lane, so he's grabbing a lot of runes instead. That's going to be his second rune in the game. Meanwhile, Rubik very aggressive with his position. He's got to be very careful. You see Ancient Aberration is going for the stats build, something I commonly see on a solo mid Ancient Aberration. Forget about the Kofi, forget about the Ice Vortex. It's not going to take in. It's not going to really do too much for you in the lane, but the extra stats will, because you're going to be spamming Kofis quite a bit.
See, here's the thing, the Darkseer actually, I mean, it's a horrible lane for him at the start, but what does he do? You pointed out, he goes into the jungle. It's the versatility of this hero. So as a result, because he gets up to level 3, now he's got a level 2 Ion Shell. He really doesn't need to do a whole lot. Bottom lane, though, it's icy. Has to be very careful about his position. Gets blocked by his own trio to start. Stormbolt to follow. Centaur stun on top of it all. Split Earth will clean him up, and Icy goes down. First blood. And if Arge get a kill, it means a tower. Lumi, Edict, Chen creeps. They're going to be bringing this down in a hurry.
Yeah, it's not irrelevant that Chen Creep is giving the aura to the team as well. Is Yamateh getting his Warcry just yet? No Warcry, and I think his creep sorely needed, but regardless, they are going to bring down the tower. He does have the Ring of Basileus turned on, of course, and he's looking for that last hit. He is going to get it as well. Man, if he gets a quick treads into a Mask of Madness before there's anything set up, that could be very, very dangerous. But a little bit of precursor, we talked about this in more of a drafting situation. If he ever goes BKB, he's going to be extremely reliant on it, and Naga, one of the best way to deal with BKB carries. So we'll see if he's not going to go for it.
I like this response by World Elite. They have a tri-lane up top. There's nothing to kill because Darkseer's not there. So what do they do instead? They start pulling to the pull camp, they start pulling to the small camp, and then in fact, we even see Earthshaker, GG, trying to do a double pull. He messed that one up, but he did get the stack off. So, I mean, at this point, World Elite are still getting a lot of experience here, and that helps mitigate the power of that jungling hero. The concern is, how are they going to stop this push? I feel like Orange can reset, rearm, and then go do the same thing with Extinct, and Prophet is not in a position to stop the push right now. What do you do if you're World Elite? Do you just continue going for this trade-off, or do you need to try and send some support in towards the bottom lane?
World Elite right now has options, right? Instead of pulling, they can be sending the Shaker and Lina in. I think this is a very smart strategical choice. There's like, you know what, you could get as much damage on their tier 2 even if you want to. We're going to just weather this early game storm and hopefully have a very, very highly level support. In this case right now, Lina is level 3.5, keeping up with the Chen predominantly, but the more initiation comes in right now, Edict comes in against Icy. He's trying to use the trees to tank, but it's not going to do too much, as Ben, again, just whacking that big score. That's yet another kill. But that's a loss, that's a deficit they will take for now, because they're getting some farm in the jungle. And Lina and Shaker, they want that farm, and they're getting it right now. So it's not all going south for them, despite of the 0-2 start for WE.
The experience is very even. The gold is the concern here. Uh-oh, telekinesis mid lane. Chan gets pulled back in. Here comes Winter. Has barely been seen all game, but Ion Shell is used. Chan will escape.
Yep.
No surge there, as it was cooling down. Not sure he could have gotten the kill if he tower dive, but now that means Chan should be able to hit level 6, and that will help slow down the push, Lumi. That early Ice Blast is really going to negate a lot of this pushing power. Still, overall, they're off to a great start, and the tread's already up on Yamateh. This is a very fat Sven. Still, on the other side, it's FNTY keeping the pace. Arcane Boots up on him, and considering this tri-lane, early Arcane Boots will be very effective. World Elite was one of the teams I saw run the Naga, and it looks like at least 1 point in Mirror Image to help push. We'll have to see if he looks to level it up here. It might be the better choice. Since they're not really having ganking opportunities right now, having the illusions will let you push the tower a lot harder.
I think the phrase not having the ganking ability can be a little bit deceptive. I mean, once that Ancient Aberration hits 6, the Prophet could teleport in anytime, but the Sven Stormbolt on the bot lane, here comes Lina Inverse trying to get a little bit of help, and of course Prophet is already dead. Yamateh going on the second hero immediately, and Lu in big trouble as well. Those right click from the Sven is going to chase up the hit. What else a hit he does, and Tower focusing on Yamateh. Sven Stormbolt will hit, will he get the kill? No, the Tower Meanwhile,
Middle
whole bunch
lane.
of action. Back to mid lane here, we do see yamateh picking up against Champ, but the creeps doing the final takes of damage, and suddenly from 0-2 it is 3-3.
Well,
W right back in this.
Lumi, we talked about the counter ganking potential. We saw it there. The AA Prophet didn't even get to counter gank, but it was enough with the Naga, the early TP. I love that decision. And I gotta say, Yamateh, always a pretty ballsy player. That was a bit of a dive too far, a tower too deep in enemy territory, and man, did he pay for that one. While this is happening, FNTY not even flinching with his farm. 42 CS, still hitting 6 per minute. And when you TP that early, if you can still keep up 6 per minute, and get a kill, that's big. I mean, World Elite right back in this game. It was never a big deficit, but they come storming back with 3 quick kills going their way. Game is all tied up now.
And again, I think this goes back to the early game, the way they play their early game. So you could have a Furion as much as you want. We want to get up those supports to make those counter ganks a little bit stronger later on. And Shaker and Lina both doing a very good job at that, putting down wards, roaming down the river. But for now, we see a 3-man gang going up top. Chen in position. He is scoped out by a couple creeps right now, but I think Dark Green is very, very diveable at this point. No, it looks like Yamateh pops the ultimate. He wants that tier 1. That tier 1's going to put him even into more gold. I wonder if it's going to be Blink first or Mask of Madness first. We'll see.
Well, they don't really have too many scaling damage heroes. Ice can, but he's playing support Leshrac. He has some farm to work with. Rubik not going to carry you. I feel like Yamateh needs that damage, and maybe he tries to get it by getting kills, turning that into farm. As far as initiation goes, what do they really have aside from Stormbell? Not a whole lot, so yeah, maybe he does need the blink right now. Oh, bottom lane, Naga, as well as some allies, they get a pick off of Winter. And well, Winter 30 CS, he's not going to be too upset about that death. Soul Ring and Rain of Felt still picked up. He does need a couple more levels though before he can really contribute. Only level 6 at this point.
Man, look at the aggression though on the Radiant side, going right deep into the enemy jungle. Shaker trying to find that level 6. He's a little bit afraid though. He knows there's enemy nearby heroes. Yamateh, of course, if he sees the Shaker, he's going to try to drop this fan. Of course, Shaker using that range to stay back. We're going to see a tier 2 trade for a tier 1 trade. I say trade though. I think WE could easily defend that tower if they really want to do so. They're forcing out Glyph on the bot lane right now. Meanwhile, Purple gets a little bit scoped out by Invis WE player. And it looks like Shaker perhaps in a little bit trouble. Kofi Ice Blast right on top of Mushi. Mushi steals the spell, steals the fissure. Mushi might be in a little bit trouble. 2 teleportation comes in right now. Shaker's still alive. Sven Stormbolt not going to do too much. Prophet teleport in as well. Kofi on Chen. Chen's going to go down. Counter ganking like you mentioned. So powerful to destroy the tier 1 on the bot lane. Defend the tier 2 on top. FNTY getting a lot of EXP, a lot of farm.
You know,
he's right back to farming.
You know what amazes me about this Lumi? They still haven't used probably their best counter gank spell. That being the Song of the Siren. TP and drop the ult, let everybody else join the fight, then you release it and go to work. FNTY didn't have mana, they didn't really need it there. But to me, this is just a precursor of what they're fully capable of when they get everything together. That was a big fight as well, because Icy has been denied. He didn't have his ultimate, and they still win it quite handily.
Yeah. It just shows you the strength of those AoE stuns and the targetable stuns. They, of course, when you don't miss the LSA, when you don't miss anything, it's so powerful as a ganking and counter ganking ability. And right now, FNTY is just farming away with this Riptide. He's not upgrading his Soul Ring just yet, so I wonder.
I think it's a Vlad. It might be a Vlad.
Makes perfect sense. It's always strange and always a little bit awkward to see carry heroes go Vlads first, but it's not that bad. Especially, I mean, it's a little bit odd because Nagasai is generally known as a item dependent hero, but I say Vlad's is never really a bad choice if you and your team knows what you're doing.
I like it.
Imagine WE does.
I like it this game because you're up against Sven with a lot of right-click damage, and also, I think it's a good choice when you're playing. To me, Naga, as far as hard carries that can scale go, I mean, heroes that can scale go, she's a little bit more utility-based, right? She's not a hero like a Morphling or an Anti-Mage where she wins the game by getting huge items and soloing or, killing off a couple of supports single-handedly. To me, Naga works best when she's with the team, using the ult to set up, the net as well. So from that perspective, I think building for sort of a utility pushing item, counter push item, that just helps everybody be a little more survivable. It makes a lot of sense here. Okay, so you're orange. You had a great start. You get out to a 2,000 gold lead, Lumi. And then, I don't want to say you throw it away, but you definitely give back some of that momentum. WE starting to get up their core items and levels. What do you do now? Do you look to farm? Do you look to try and continue the aggression? Maybe be a little bit more calculated. How do you play this one?
I think Orange, it's going to be very smart for them to actually scale back a little bit in their aggression and make sure they get get enough items up for whatever key battle what they want to take. Whether it's going to be a battle for a push, whether it's going to be a battle for Roshan, they should not give away Mushi's kill as we do see the net, Riptide, Ice Blast, everything on top of Mushi. They want to be playing aggressive, but they don't have the necessary wards. They have one very deep, but that so far hasn't done too much. Immediate smoke from W right on the mid-tier 1, and they're going to look for a little bit more. Man, playing so well is WE. To answer your question, I think they got to just play a little bit safe, get up the key items, perhaps a mech, perhaps a pipe, and go for those push.
Oh, Yamateh. Oh, no.
Can't get picked off. Man, look at how deep he's in. I think these are...
Yeah, I like the decision there by Yamateh. I mean, you want to split push. What I don't like is staying there that long when multiple heroes missing off the map. You just saw them all mid. Normally, if you get that kind of a kill mid, Lumi, you immediately look to transition into push. Worbley didn't do that. Yamateh needed to back there, but look what Mushi just stole. It is that dreaded fissure, and it's a level 4 one as well. Pulling FNTY back in. Chen's done to follow, but he's too tanky, and now comes the counter initiation. Where's the Echo Slam? It's available if he can find the distance. Net to follow. X might go down. X will go to vacuum in on everybody. No wall just yet, I don't believe. Echo Slam only hitting Winter. Not that effective, and down they will go. The counter initiation this time comes from Yamateh. Another fissure. Great play by Mushi. They get 3 picks, and now look for this tier. Back and forth game. That's really all I can say, but now look for this tower to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this tower is basically dead, and I gotta say, because Mushi's stealing that fissure, dropped it on a couple of heroes and use it as a chasing mechanism, spam just blowing us some creep waves. And gonna mow down this tier 1. He does have access into his ultimate as well, and can be going for the tower. And again, to answer our question, whether it's gonna be a Blink, Mask of Madness, or BKB, he is gonna be going for a BKB. Let's see how effective Naga that's gonna be. Look at that creep wave getting mowed down. Now, as much as Vlad's is generally a good utility item, I'm not sure if you want to rush it right against a Darkseer, because whatever aura you're providing, they're getting a free one. And, well...
Yeah, it's a great point.
I don't like the sound of that.
It is the downside, and, I mean, does this Sven really need lifesteal and more armor going his way? Probably not. Yamateh's already pretty big. Of course, if you look towards Darkseer, he is only level 9, so they have, 4 or 5 minutes before it's really going to kick in. He's probably not going to get the... Not 4 or 5 minutes, at least 2 or 3. Until he hits level 10, 11, he's probably not going to skill up the Wall of Replica. He has maxed out Vacuum and Ion Shell off the bat, only 1 point surge, and a Vanguard on him, so if he wants to go for that early wall, at 10, 11, he should be able to. That is the state. Okay, so, I mean, for World Elite now, I gotta say, I think that I go back to that fight, and did Naga Siren toggle off her Song of the Siren there by mistake? I mean, it lasts for 7 seconds, and only 2 seconds after it starts, she turns it off. Maybe that was a misclick. Maybe it was some lag acting out, but I mean, Earthshaker had time to walk in there and set up.
I think what they're trying to set up was the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. I think they mistimed it by just a particular second. It was flying in, and they should have let the Siren go when the Ancient Apparition cursor's on top, and they missed it by a second, and not having that buff and that AoE damage on top was, pretty big. But I'm not sure whether it really made a difference. They dived very deeply for a Chen, and they did get him. Unfortunately, the fissures and the Sven's stuns were a little bit too strong, but I'm not too worried about WE. It's off WE's mistakes that Orange is making these great plays, and Winter is getting pretty big though, so that's of a little bit of concern. But before he gets a pipe, I think this team is very dealable, this Orange team. But once the pipe is up, it's a different story altogether.
Yeah, they are a lot of nuke damage, and especially with Naga going for the Vlads. I mean, this is the other downside. It's not really a great damage source. It's more of a utility item, buffing up the team's armor, give you a little bit of push power. It's not an early, it's not an early Diffusal Blade. It's not even an early Radiance, which we see sometimes. And FNTY is still he's very weak to that magical damage coming his way from Orange. There's no Chen on his team. They have nothing to keep him alive. Maybe a mechanism on the AA. In fact, that's up. That'll help a bit. But still, there's a lot of bursts coming from Orange, and Yamateh, once again, off in no man's land. Smoke Gang coming his way. Will he sense it in time? He wants to run. World Elite perhaps waiting too long here. They want to see him in the lane, and that means Yamateh will get away. Perhaps a bit too passive from them.
Maybe they're a little bit afraid of counter ganking. What we see teams do a lot of times is put Yamateh, or put a carry kind of in no man's land, and like, yo, look, he's by himself, and the entire team will be smoked behind it to back him up. So perhaps they're waiting for some people to come into the mini-mat to let them know the positioning, but they missed the gank, a little bit unfortunate. There's an Ogre Club on Naga, and we're continuing the episode of me learning about Naga, because I haven't seen any of it, and for any viewers I haven't seen any Naga, this perhaps would be a good game. Is this a Sage? SMY? Heaven's Halberd? I can't imagine.
We'll have to talk about it later. As GG gets initiated on, netted down, he will get picked off. And that one was just easy. I gotta say, it feels like Orange are controlling the pace of this game. The early tower, mid, and top, giving them a lot of access into the enemy jungle. And that's the one thing we haven't talked about yet. Orange have the better map control. Okay, so let's go back to your point. The Ogre Club here, I mean, what is it? Is it a BKB? Is it a Sage? It's not any damage for the Naga. That's the one thing about it. It doesn't give them any damage.
It won't surprise me at all if it's a BKB. A lot of these Chinese teams really opt for that BKB, even when on paper it's probably not the best item. You can see the Naga illusions being sent out. Do a lot of scouting and a little bit of Riptide defense. They're pretty cute right now. Tornado being summoned, 2 tornadoes being ready summoned. And this push for this tier 2 is Glyph up, Glyph is up. But back to my point, we see, you know, Morphling and things like that to go for BKB. Looks like Yamateh is going to get cold feet up. Fissure, LSA, man, he's locked down, but the BKB does get popped, but you can see Yamateh in huge trouble. A tower perhaps we're bringing down. It does. Wow, the net and every spell, and it looks like Song of Siren gets used. Who are they going to focus on? It should be Winter. Ice Blast comes up. That is going to hit perfectly. Vacuum backwards. Wall. Huge vacuum. Huge wall. But Epicenter, Echo Slam. Going to melt everything. Bleed is going to be in big trouble. Winter still very healthy in terms of HP. It looks like they'll be on full retreat at this moment. Chan a little bit lagging behind. He gets picked up. But on top of him right now. Chan gets picked up as well. Great play from Orange. 2 for 2 exchange so far. But I think the push has successfully been nullified.
Well, and most importantly, they get that 10 second BKB charge off the table, and they get a kill as well in the spend. Even with Chen just not able to survive there, I think Orange thought he was going to use it sooner, and Yamateh just waited a bit too long to pop that BKB. You can use it while you're deaded up, it just won't allow you to get out of it. So Orange eats a net, he will go down to the tower here, and in comes GG, vacuum backwards, Fissure to follow, no, Enchant Totem, sorry, Fissure's still on cooldown, and he gets the pick up at FNTY, what a snipe, but Mushi will pay for that one, Fissure coming his way. Individually, pretty aggressive play from Orange, I have to say. And in the end, the push is repelled. They do get a couple of kills. And for World Elite, I still think they're being a little bit over-aggressive here with the Naga ult. I mean, it was a perfect setup, but I think you let Earthshaker get in a position, then throw the AA ulti, then remove the ultimate, or then turn off the Naga Siren Sleep, and then you maybe have a couple more kills there. It's a good fight for them. I just think it could be even better next time around.
Yeah, I think the decision to take the fight and take it a little bit over aggressive, because Sven has said, was probably what did them in, and it's a good thought. I mean, hey, 5v4, and why not take the fight when their biggest DPS carry is gone? I don't fault them for taking that fight, but yeah, the communication was a little bit lacking, and because of that, they lost a couple more heroes. When I'm pointing back to that chase against Mushi to pick him off early on, if you look back to the Earthshaker, he used Enchant Totem during the chase, and you might be wondering what the hell he was doing, because he was nowhere near the Rubik. He does not want his Fissure to be stolen, because a 3-man stun from a Rubik while getting chased is one of the many ways that he can get out. So good recognition by the Earthshaker. I know we're past that point, but such a key play that really easily can be mixed.
Really glad you brought up. That is a great point. I mean, it's this thing about playing against Rubik where it's another thing you have to think about in a game that's already so chaotic, already so many variables to try and weigh in your head. Now you have to make sure that not only do you use the correct spells at the correct time, but that you get rid of them as quickly as possible up against Mushi. Yeah. And Fissure is probably the most dangerous one, but it goes for the Naga too. Generally, she's just going to use her ult and then turn that ult off. Normally, you don't. Even if she uses something like Riptide, I think when she turns it off, it can be stolen again. So on the side of Mushi, actually, I'm not sure about that, but it might be the case. Still, for the Naga, she's got to be a little bit concerned about not having it stolen as well. Less so because of the AoE, but the timing's got to be precise for her. And well, we're seeing a bit of a. I mean, Orange is really forcing this. They want to push early and often. They're not even gonna try and farm at all. I feel like they could benefit from some more farm, but World Elite are a pretty good turtling team. I'm not sure you want to let this go late either, up against the Earthshaker AA and Naga. So they're gonna try and force this now.
I think they're trying to force this because they have a Sven, and Sven is severely outclassed and straight up gets countered by Naga. Whether you want to look at the Purge play against Sven's maidenless as an interaction, whether you want to look at the net and BKB as an interaction, it looks like they want these Chen creeps. And man, I talked about in the past, if you lose those Chen creeps, it is a significant time sink. Now you have to go back in the jungle and try to farm a couple more. He is doing that though. But for the most part, I think this is correct decision by Orange to go, hardcore for it, and they have moderate success so far, but they gotta knock down a couple more towers. Meanwhile, Sven still farming up top, BKB finish, and 1400 gold in the bank.
Can they really do this, though? Does this style work against a Prophet? I mean, they don't have a Morphlane with a Replicant where you can always join the fight. They don't have a Spectre who could do that as well. There's nobody here for Orange who can split push and then instantly arrive. There's no Boots of Travel up. I don't know if they can really pull off trying to force the push like they're doing because they're up against that Prophet. Not to mention AA, who can also knock down a wave and to push in the other lane pretty quickly and get it moving in the right direction. And, well, Lita and Earthshaker as well. World Elite, I mean, they don't have a Darkseer on their team. What they have is great spam and great split push in the form of a Prophet. They can try and stall this for a while. I feel like unless Orange find a kill or two, it's going to be real hard for them to succeed at that push, and it's probably why we see them back off, but wow, they've already seen World Elite smoke gank a few times, Lumi, and what do? They play 5-man Dota, protecting that Sven, trying to bait him, and now they're just going to try and push again.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying, Orange is not really doing too much, but I don't think WE is punishing them either. Instead of farming, in their own jungle and making sure they get most skill, most XP for the team fight, WE has opted for 2 smoke ganks, and those 2 smoke ganks haven't actually done too much, and here comes the push. I do believe Hood is now finished. Very close to Winter. I saw the 2 Ring of Regeneration early on. It is flying in right now. Naga Riptide defense. Here comes the ultimate from Yamateh. Song of Siren gets immediately popped. I think they want to initiate on this. Shaker blinks in. Huge BKB pops on Yamateh. Vacuum. It looks like everybody's dying so far. Mushi drop off an Epi. He is going to kill FNTY. And Yamateh down to half HP. Look at how much damage doing. I think Lu is actually really lagging throughout there. He just right-clicked away. Yamateh gets safely sent back. Yeah, he is going to be absolutely fine now. I see in a particularly sour spot. He gets a spell stolen him. He gets sprouted up and he's basically going to be dead. Chen offering a little bit of assistance should be okay for now. But that huge... Why is Uppy trying to initiate like those? Not too sure. But they're getting killed. It's
the weakness of Naga's ultimate. As great as it is at setting up, here's the downside is it gives your opponents a chance to prepare. I mean, you use that Naga Siren ult, if you're Sven, what are you doing? You're spamming that BKB button. Especially when you see Earthshaker blink in on top of your entire team. So it's a double-edged sword. It gives you that great setup, it gives you a fantastic escape, but it also gives your opponents a moment, and not just to actually spam skills, but also for those skills to cool down if they've already been used. I mean, that was a big opening for World Elite, Lumi. That Blink Dagger and Earthshaker just picked up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they don't... I mean, it's not a bad fight for them. I'd say it's a pretty even one, except they lose the tier 2. But now that surprise factor, it's gone.
Well, they lose the tier 2 and they don't kill the Sven. Sven got sent back in slivers of red health. So that was a big loss in my opinion.
And he's got a Reaver.
I mean, the positioning on Orange was absolutely immense. Like, Sven in the front, BKB ready to go. And everybody else staying back, and as soon as you initiate against an Orange team who has a Darkseer, yeah, they're like, this is a easy walk for us, a walk in the park, because as soon as you clumped up our Sven, that Vacuum, Wall, Replica, and Split Earth, and all those spells hit in, it was insane. Mushi now with a Blink Dagger pickup, a very interesting choice, but he's going to be as mobile as possible. And with the spells that he's going to be selling, he's going to be very, very easily picking down heroes as well, because of the range that they provide. So, pretty decent item build, but very odd to not see a little bit more supportive of a team item.
Yeah, this seems like this is the style most players favor on Rubik. We've seen Sing go for it, a couple other players as well. Where they just go for the early Blink Dagger, 4-step, get that pure mobility up, and try and use it. I mean, the longer Rubik stays alive in a fight, the more dangerous he becomes. And getting these mobility items, probably the best way to keep him alive. You could argue for something like a BKB, but again, you're up against a Naga. Will that be the most useful? Oh, telekinesis on the wrong unit. Could have been real bad for FNTY if he gets caught out here. And, well, he's definitely going for BKB, Lumi. And he almost has it, but if we look at how he's doing compared to Sven, Yamateh is very far behind. Blink initiation, they want Yamateh, 4-step backwards. A ultimate, BKB is going to keep him alive for now. And a splitter on 3, it looks like. Maybe that was a fissure as well. FNTY, Song of the Siren. Whoa, are they all going to escape? I think they will.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Man. We talked about how Song Siren can be used as an escape, and we just saw it perfectly right there. Team fight not going well. Well, just pop that ultimate and get out. I sound like one of those infomercials right there, but that's exactly what we see, and that's how effective it can be. Let's go back to the BKB on Naga Siren. I mean, it's so ironic and strange to see like a illusion carry to go for a BKB, but that just shows you the love of these Chinese players getting BKB on carries like Queen of Pain, on Morphling, and they rushed it right from the get-go. So it's an item that they really love.
We do see it on Chaos Knight. I mean, that's another illusion carry where you just need the BKB because. Sure, his phantasms are great, but you want to be able to spam those spells, and for Naga, it's somewhat the same. I mean, you want to be able to spam Ensnare, you'd like to make sure you get a couple Riptides off in a team fight. I don't mind this choice. To me, the bigger concern is that he's just not keeping up with Sven. And although Sven might not be the strongest carry in the late game because he can be kited, because he has a very long cooldown spell, I mean, he's not like Morphling where you can just find the supports and instantly kill them off. He's way ahead. He's got a Reaver, 600 gold. And he's got a lot of setup, so Yamateh doesn't have to stay on top of these heroes all alone. He has some setup to do it. I'm not sure where Naga's going to find the farm now, but she is way behind, and I think she needs a lot more if she wants to carry this.
I'm not sure if Naga's trying to directly compete against Sven as the de facto hardest carry in the game, considering that she opted for Vladimir. She talked about the utility of that build. So maybe I think she's really just trying to help her team as much as she can. But again, it's such an odd build to see on a predominantly carry-based hero. But for now, he's got the BKB finish. BKB unfortunately won't do too much against Sven right-clicks, as they will cleave fast and furious. But they will do quite a bit against the Chains and against those setup spells that you mentioned for that Sven.
Oh, GG gets caught out, blinking from Mushi, pulls it back in, telekinesis, test of fate, split earth, and he is dead. Well, we see the power of the Blink Dagger there. Mushi just too damn mobile. The initiation range, immense now. And he's stolen Fissure to boot. So, I mean, Blink forced that Fissure. Mushi's initiation range is probably about 2.5 to 3 screens right now, Lumi. Can his team get there in time? I'm not so sure. But it's some long
I think that's a
range
key factor. I mean, you could be a phantom for your initiation, but if your team can't keep up, it's not going to do too much. I really love W's reaction to it. It's like, okay, well, we lost the Shaker. No way in hell we're going to defend that tier 2. So you can see that FNT was pushing up mid, Prophet was pushing up bot, and they forced some TPs. Despite being 5v4, they're absolutely fine, but Prophet should be very careful. And now you're talking about that 3-screen initiation. Icy gets picked up, he gets tossed back, and we have more spells to teleport attempt. He is going to actually get it off. Good job by Prophet counting out those stuns.
By the way, I just want to say I love the fact that Icy used the TP, or no, he did use his teleport. Actually, I was going to say he used the TP scroll, but nope, never mind. Teleport could have been stolen there, but I guess Fissure pretty powerful as well. Yamateh mid lane, initiation on him, but the BKB puts an end to all his woes. Chen heals well, soothing him just a touch. Little aloe vera for him, and he will get away. I mean, they keep on going for Yamateh. The BKB is down to 6 seconds, but as long as he gets it off, World Elite don't have the damage right now, and there you go. There's your Heart of Taras for Yamateh. I thought maybe it would be a Satanic, but I like the Heart as well. They need to siege things up as long as possible. The one thing I'll say is if that A ult hits you, Heart's not going to do a whole lot, unless you use the BKB, so it's something to be concerned about.
I really disagree. I mean, sure, Ancient Aberration Ultimate is going to be rough against the Heart, as we do see this again, a push attempt on that tier 1. Yamateh shows his face, immediately everybody backs the hell up. You can see by the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 fights, W has been trying to burst down Sven. It worked once, right? Like 5, 6 fights ago. It has not worked since. And he's just stacking HP. I feel like Sven is just playing like a frontline tanker at this point. And as soon as he is able to tank those spells, those Storm Bolts, or Storm Hammer as they're officially called in Dota 2, they're going to do so much as a chasing mechanism. I think this is the best item build that Yamateh could opt for. He's going to just charge in headlong. If he gets right clicks off, great. If he doesn't, he has tank entirely for his team. And the Dire team is very bursty, right? As soon as those Echoes done, as soon as that Ancient Aberration is flew in the air, there's really nothing else, I feel like, for WE. So if you could tank the initial barrage, you're off to a great start for Orange.
This is bold play by Icy, Lumi. He's going for Yamateh, and after a full sprout, net to follow, BKB is used. Oh, this could be good, actually, for World Elite. They catch Yamateh out. Look how long that net lasts. He's slowed down. Fissure, cold feet, set back to base. Yamateh will get away. Well, the Heart pays off there. X may take a fall for his troubles. He still has tangos. 29 minutes into the game.
30-minute tango.
Great play by X holding on to those. Might have even bought another set, but the Naga ult by FNTY. I don't know. Naga ult turned off. Back to follow. Cold feet on top of it. Vacuum in. There's your wall. Fissure as well. Naga illusions are used, but the Storm Bolt tracks him through anyway. And now FNTY BKB force. He'll TP out. Centaur stop. Not gonna stop. Not gonna have enough damage either. Ice comes in with the haster and sprouted in place. Split Earth not gonna hit. And once again, I think World Elite all live after a pretty greedy fight from them. I think they're all gonna live.
though, W Chan on the top lane in a little bit of trouble. Force half in a couple of seconds, but Ice with the haste. He's gotta juke this in position for Smurf. Is gonna hit it, he does. Sven Stormhammer's gonna hit it as well. Vision in position to grab it. Nice BKB. And looks like JJ in big trouble. Nice backing back with Chan in neutral. Does he have mech? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Where's the mech? No, he explodes to the lightning. But now in the tower range of the Dire squad, they want Yamateh. Yamateh BKB is on cooldown for now. Winter vacuum, man. This fight has happened in the Dire jungle. Chase all the way to that tier 1 on the top. Now back to that tier 3 of Dire. I've never really seen this in WE or in a pro game, but both teams playing very, very greedy. And very thankfully, they weren't too heavily punished for it.
Arms seem to come out a bit on top of that one. Well, at the end, it's a Chanford H apparition. Well, they get the creep equilibrium dramatically in their favor, and Orange have a team that could go for a pretty quick Roche here. As we see World Elite, 3 heroes grouped up top. They don't have really any map control. Losing that tier 2 means they do have to protect Naga. Can't just leave her alone here. Always have to worry about a smoke gank. So we'll see. Maybe Orange will go for Roshan.
Also, very interesting item choice coming in from Dire. You see Maelstrom being picked up on Nature's Prophet. And this is something that you do in public games once in a while if you want, you know, those lightning bounces for even more farm if you need it. But I think what W is getting for here is the damage output. Like you were talking about earlier, aside from those big AoE ults, what do they really have? Especially with Naga Siren going for this utility-based item, though. She is going to be going for a Manta style, I presume, now. But they sorely lack the DPS. And Maelstrom is one of the best ways to get DPS, especially in magical DPS, who, you know, doesn't scale that badly into late game when armor gets stacked up. So I really like this choice by Prophet, but he's got to be very careful about his positioning. He doesn't have a BKB to back him up. He doesn't have a Force Staff to back him up. So he can be just stunned and killed. So it's a bold choice to go for a Maelstrom.
Well, especially against this orange lineup, if a Surge Sven comes charging into you with God's Strength. Not sure how long he'll be able to stand there and fight. In theory, I do like Prophet late game because he has 600 range up against the Sven, but top lane, Icy, getting cleaved up. He will go down to that God Strength, plus 334 damage. Whoa, buddy. He ain't living through that one, Lumi.
No, and that's why I'm glad I mentioned, oh, he doesn't have Force Staff. And right when we say that, we saw how Force Staff could have been key to help him survive. Lina just get the hell out of there. But again, it's not the biggest loss for W. I'm very surprised that we haven't seen a Roshan even attempted at this point. As I say, that Mushi is just in that area, buying a couple items. He just purchased a, looks like he's going to try to go for Bloodstone. Very interesting choice. And stuff, again, a little bit more support base, a little bit more movement speed space. Like a Yusef there wouldn't be bad. But for now, it's going to be a Bloodstone. And as we see FNTY continue to push a little bit, his team really backing him up.
Oh, and
let's see if they can pick off anybody in the jungle.
And here comes the dreaded, both teams run in opposite directions. Smoke gank into the Dire jungle. Meanwhile, the Dire in the Radiant jungle, they're smoked as well, and nobody's going to find anyone here. Orange have to figure World Elite or smoke ganked, and for Orange, World Elite have to figure Orange or smoke ganked, and for Orange, maybe they think World Elite are just in their base. They're going to find out soon. TPs will be forced back, so already I'd say that's a bit of a win for Orange. Not a big deal, but a bunch of TPs will be required. Here we go. Initiation. Mushi jumping in the wall. They get GG off the bat, and they need GG to defend this. Sven's God Strength going to work on the tower. Oh no, Lumi. He doesn't have buyback.
Well, we got the Song of Siren for 7 seconds, but great initiation from Mushi, blinking right into the base. And yeah, they're just using it for pure defensive capability right now. BKB pop on FNTY. He's initiating Winter, but just not doing enough. Meanwhile, Lina gets backstabbed. She's basically dead. BKB duration running low, vacuum for Chan. Chan, oh my god, if that Storm hits. Meanwhile, Icy in big trouble as well. Icy trying to right-click away, bring down Mushi mech up here from Orange. They see Chan, 2 hits, and it looks like Chan is going to go down as well. Net slowing down Yamateh, but it's not enough. Orange reaching the enemy base. They want Naga. Naga gets pulled back. The Pulse Nova doing so much, and I gotta say, Vladstream, nothing in that fight. And I think with 5 dead, the mid-racks fully breached. Orange looking powerfully strong to take this game number 1. I think they could transition for another lane of rack if they want to do so.
Wow, I mean that all comes down to Mushi there. The blatant telekinesis back, and then they focus him. That was what we saw next. I mean, the null field, the Chen. You can't really focus this guy now. If he's too tanky. Normally, Rubik is a hero you want to take out of the fight right away. we see Orange, they're able to pick off that crucial hero, but having Chen, having no field, pipe, and mechanism, it's too much, and Mushi can do that and get away with it, and then it frees up Orange from there to snowball to victory. So, I mean, great individual play, but just, I think, having the better team composition here to get those pickoffs in the pushing situation, and the items as well.
Yeah. And also team composition of having a very tanky Sven in front and allowing the Darkseer to do whatever the hell they want on the back. Big stun here against Lina, gets picked up again, man. Lina's just having rough 4-man vacuum. Unfortunately, no waterfall. That split not hitting too much. But Yamateh is so powerfully strong right now. We talked about the BKB interaction. As it turns out, it doesn't matter whether you have net or not. And the right click so much, huge blink echo here, but it's just not enough. Look at Yamateh, despite not having God Strength, he's just right clicking away. Vacuum comes up again. Yamateh Stormhammer in a couple of seconds. Everybody running on full retreat. Man. Carry Sven's. We don't see it all too often. Courier gets assassinated as well, but
yeah, the Courier just wanted a piece of the action there, man. It's getting bored on that defensive duty back down. Yeah, carry Sven worked this game, but I have to say, I feel a lot of carries would have worked in this position. There's a lot of other heroes that can be that tanky frontline damage dealer and soak up a lot of hits. Sven's certainly good in that part. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. Oh, Prophet gets picked off down on the bottom, but I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. World Elite, they have some anti-push, but being down 2 lanes directly, it's just too much. I don't see them coming back from this.
And I think Orange knows as well. They're just, mass rallying to that third Rax on the bot lane.
Look at Yamateh.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that a lot of carry could substitute for Sven, but Sven has quite a bit of AoE-ness for melee carry, right? The fact that he has a Stormhammer, the fact that he's cleaving, plus armor. I think his skill set is... As Naga, as hard as she counters Sven is not too bad on the punchback, so I think it's great. And considering that you have Surge on a God Strength Sven, that is a scary thought. So,
right.
So,
I mean,
I'm not sure whether you could substitute it with any carry. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to argue for.
Yeah, I mean, you make some good points, so I'll give you that. I guess I feel like Orange had such a strong start to the draft here. Pickup heroes like Chen, Leshrac, Darkseer off the bat. I feel you can sort of play plug and play with that start and still have very fast mobility. Here we go. They pull in FNTY. They want him. BKB is used, and the ultimate unfortunately will not stop Yamateh, but the BKB wears off. It's only 5 seconds. So Yamateh's stymied here. And unfortunately, he's getting locked down a bit. Laguna Blade as well held in place. Will he be sent back? He will.
Again, the issues with WE, they have to focus Sven because he does the most damage, but that allows his entire team to set up wherever the hell they want. Wall gets dropped, Vacuum gets dropped, and so far they defend this, and huge echo against X, and it looks like they want to pick down X. Nice chain stun here coming from the Lina. Mushi though, he's doing so much, and looks like Ice's BKB, he gets netted under the tower, he's gonna go down as well, so not as bad of a team fight as we saw, and Mushi gets stunned down, Mushi's gonna get picked off as well, he's going for the kill, he is gonna get the kill. Brave attempt for Mushi to get the double. Winter gets sprouted under the tower as well. Man, this team is just so tank, and you can see Sven is just making back. Sven is right back in this. Gets 1 kill immediately. Going for the second, working against the Shaker. Blink Dagger already on cooldown. Vacuum against 2. Stormhammer coming up, cooldown 7 as well. BKB's out against Yamateh. Yamateh, his melee list, starting to get his hurt out, but again, Ice Blast comes in. He's flying down to half HP, down to a quarter HP, taking some big tower damage. He gets sent back again. Yamateh trolling the hell.
Wow, that Sawed of the Siren is up again. This fight has been going for a full minute, and it's not over yet. They get 1 more kill. Orange fully routed. I think they even used a buyback or 2 there. Winter sprouted up as well, and it looks like he will get away. No, that was FNTY who bought back. Well, Lumi, World Elite hang on for now. Is there a big item that could really turn the tides? I'm not sure where it would come from. Prophet is 1,200 gold, Naga only 700. While they're defending, they are buying back for this. And to me, that's a concern.
I mean, if W plays their heart out, and if Yamateh gets picked up, I see a couple more hits, he gets picked up, and you talked about the maps, the 3-screen initiation, if that's even a term. Mushi was nowhere near before when that initiation happened, but got there very quickly. But yeah, I mean, if you look at items of FNTY, they don't have that much damage, but they have a lot of slows. So if you kite the hell out of Yamateh, you can in theory bring him down, but yeah, that's in theory.
I also want to point out, Yamateh has gone for about a 35, 38 minute Blink Dagger here. I don't mind it at all, he is being kited. But I have to say, at this point, I think Orange should just pick up that Aegis from Roshan. Maybe get some lane wards if they need to. just to spot any sort of smoke gank. World Elite can't really leave their base that safely. But surprisingly, they just want to force the issue bottom. They really feel they can take this. And yamateh wants to spend his money first. And he wants to spend his money first. And he's going to get a Demon Edge. So probably going for the Daedalus. Maybe a Divine Rapier if they just get a team wipe here and another set of racks. We'll have to see. Could be an MKB too. There's no evasion to deal with. But either way, they're not going to go for Roshan. They're just going to try and force this.
Look at Mushi right now. He's just... I think him and his team realize that this game is going to end, or at least they hope this game's going to end very soon. They're going to get whatever items that could benefit in the very, very next fight. Double point boosters, well, one way to stack up your HP. Your eyes should be on Mushi, because I think he's going to be looking to blink in, pick up a shaker, and start off the fight that way. Mushi, though.
He's just going to siege a building here.
Cube play, of course, Tornado providing the uphill side. Now they do know where Mushi is. At least for now, and this is going to be a very slow siege. Radiant has all the time in the world, considering that they have the top and mid slowly pushing in. So it's going to be in their favor once the initiation starts.
Well, this is where you maybe are going to see that quick blink up onto the hill, telekinesis from Mushi. There we go, blink, telekinesis, Fade Bolt to follow. Can they get shot? No, Mushi in no man's land. That cold feet might put him in trouble, but in comes Winter from the side, looking for the vacuum, looking for the ultimate. Vacuum, Stormbolt, where's the ult from Winter? Not used, and there's the sleep. And Orange with a great initiation, but not able to turn anything.
Ice pops his BKB and runs in and is like, hey guys!
I'm here.
Except that didn't do anything, but what it's going to do a lot is I'm just blinking against Gigi. Gigi's going to drop off a Fissure, it's going to get stolen. Meanwhile, Winter down half, vacuum, Fissure! My god, that's why you don't give away Fissure against Blueberg. Oh, it's going to be hectic. And yamateh on cleanup duty. This game is over. Gigi gets called by the luminousinverse.
Hectic and painful, I have to say.
More painful than hectic. It was not really hectic for Orange.
I gotta say for World Elite, I feel like they made a couple of mistakes here in terms of execution. I'm not sure you can afford to give away a jungler to Extinct and a Darkseer to this team as well. But they played it quite well in spite of that, and I think if they'd just been a little bit more refined with their play, made a few less mistakes, they could have taken this. They had a fantastic turtle team. We saw they didn't always combo things up properly with that Naga ultimate. You know what, it just goes back to maybe not being the most experienced running this hero in their lineup. Sure, she's been favored a lot as of late. They've picked her before, but it's not a hero that's been seeing constant play in Dota 2 for weeks, months on end. And here we go, a little more fountain camping. We should be heading to game 2.
Yamateh, man. 10, 13, 16. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you said. The Dire squad doesn't have too much margin for error, especially when this kind of Blink Echo AA Ice Class gets a setup by Sala Siren. They went for Wombo combo very untraditionally with the Naga in front. But hey, it didn't work out, but we're going to go to game 2 right now. So don't go anywhere, guys. The World Tour is coming back in just a moment.